Hey guys, Gene here. I'm out on the FireSprint production floor, and it is an awesome production floor. We run 2 shifts here at FireSprint. We've been doing it for about 4 years now, and we've learned a lot of things along the way on how to really be successful running multiple shifts. It's a real challenge. It's one of the hardest things we've done to figure out how to run 2 shifts successfully, and we still don't have it totally figured out. But I have 8 tips in this video that I'd like to share with you on things that we have learned that work pretty well for allowing us to run multiple shifts. My first tip is overlap. You want your shifts to overlap a little bit, or at least we do here at FireSprint. So there's this tendency to say, you know, when we're first looking at it, at 2 o'clock we're gonna have first shift leave, and at 2 o'clock we're gonna have second shift come in, and maybe at the clock in, clock out station, or if people come a little early, they'll talk or they'll discuss things a little bit, but no real handoff. We have found that doesn't work. We actually build in a full 30 minutes of overlap. And that is the time that our team takes to clean, to speak with each other, just to get better acquainted with each other. There's a real handoff of information during that 30 minutes. Point 2 is to utilize that time, which we do, the 30 minutes, to actually have several all-hands meetings throughout the month or the week. And so we're sharing numbers during that time. We're going over feedback during that time. Of course, we do just allow for some time for the guys to just work together to kind of share information in one big meeting. Helps everybody get the same information at the same time. So if we have 2 meetings, a meeting or an announcement for first shift and then another announcement for second shift, we find that the announcements are a little bit different. We forget things when we announce one versus the other. And so having those separate meetings is not as powerful as bringing everybody together for one meeting, especially if it's something really important to announce. So we have time every day to do that during that 30-minute overlap here at FireSprint. My third tip is to give the easy work to second shift. So one of the things that we were thinking when we first started our second shift was, do we have enough work for second shift? What if second shift runs out of work? What if you know, we can have second shift do all the hard stuff, so first shift, no. For us, none of that worked. What we actually do is we try to fill second shift and work backwards from second shift into first shift. So when you have second shift, when you have folks here at night alone, there's generally fewer staff. You don't have the office staff, client services isn't here. Giving second shift like complex work or hoping that they fill their time with stuff to do is a real challenge. So what we actually do is we take, if we have, for us, like if we have large runs of thousands of yard signs or something like that, we have second shift start with that work. And that way, they always stay busy. Another thing too is that first shifters or people during the day don't tend to fall asleep when they get slow, whereas second and third shift, oftentimes they're tired when they're working, and you can't help that. It's funny sleep schedules and whatnot. And so for them to get slow really starts to drag in second and third shift. You can handle those kinds of things a lot better during first shift. So give the easy, consistent work to your later shifts if possible. The fourth tip I've got for you, here at FireSprint, we are always trying to keep our shifts consistent between first and second shift. It's very easy to let the shifts kind of go off and do their own thing, and they separate out, and they may actually get more efficient. Well, that's great, but take those efficiencies that you find on one shift or the other and apply them to both shifts. At FireSprint, we feel like it's more important for both shifts to work in the same way than both shifts finding like the most efficient way to do things. So we're always trying to improve, but we want to improve both shifts together, not, you know, hey, go do your own thing and figure your stuff out. My fifth tip for you is to define clear leadership roles. There might be this tendency to say, oh, on second shift, I'm going to have one press operator and one cut operator or something like that, maybe a few people. And yeah, so just whoever has been there the longest or whoever has the loudest voice is in charge. Don't do that. Clearly define your leadership roles. We have made that mistake before where we have not had clearly defined leadership roles, and it really leads to chaos and just a separation of the people as a team. So define your person in charge, the second person in charge, the third person in charge, and make sure that's clear for everyone on the shift and everyone in the organization who is absolutely in charge of the second shift. You know, while you're there or while owners are there or the other leaders are there, it's a little bit easier to slack on this, but when everyone leaves and second shift is left alone or third shift is left alone, it is really important that there is a process of a chain of command, a process of dealing with issues And you can only really do that with clearly defined leadership roles. My sixth tip is to cross-train like crazy. It is so important that people can fill in for each other, especially if you have kind of a skeleton crew on a second shift or a third shift. They really need to be able to fill in for each other as needed. We've had many situations in which we had one person gone on second shift and the whole shift shut down. We couldn't do any work, and it's like, oh man, we didn't know how to do that. If you want to know how we cross-train here at FireSprint, or at least how we set that system up for it, check out our video on our skills matrix. I think it's a really great thing, and it has really helped us cross-train across the shifts and within the shifts a lot. Point number 7, hire for the shift. So we have made the mistake before of hiring people who we thought were really great, and we asked them, do you want to work first shift, second shift, third shift? And they said, well, I really like first shift, but to get in here, I'll start working on second shift. Or, yeah, I don't mind which shift. I could probably handle second shift. Don't do that. Find people who actually want to work the hours that you're hiring for. Otherwise, you're going to have this tendency of kind of brain drain from your second and third shift to first shift. So if folks are starting on second shift with the hope that they can eventually get to first shift, as soon as they get kind of trained up and they get that senior level, and then you have a first shift position open up, they're going to walk up, and you really should give them that opportunity to switch, especially if they're a really star performer in your organization. You know, you got to take care of those people. And so if you find people who naturally want to be on second shift or third shift, they're night owls, they have partners that work during those same hours, so they spend mornings together or whatever. Well, we found that we had a more successful second shift really working with those people. We've hired several people from the restaurant industry who just are totally used to and they like to work kind of those evening hours. Those are great people for hiring for second shift. The other thing too is during your interview process, absolutely, especially for third shift, absolutely ask when they plan on sleeping. So every once in a while we'll hire somebody and they say, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna keep my other job, I'm gonna do this job in addition to it, and I'm gonna sleep for 3 hours a night. I can do it, I'm fine, I'll catch up on the weekends. How long do you think those people last here at FireSprint? I mean, I think our record's probably 17 or 18 days. There's a lot of particularly young folks who really think that they can do that and just operate without sleep. It doesn't work. So when you are hiring for those late shifts, be sure to ask your people, and we do too, when are you gonna sleep? When are you gonna take care of yourself? When are you gonna spend time with friends and family? And if they don't have those answers thought out, they're probably not ready for a second or third shift position. My 8th tip, and arguably the most important tip, is culture matters. Culture to second shift matters twice as much, and I would argue that as a rule of thumb, culture to third shift matters 3 times as much. So the things that you do to really increase the value of your company's culture, to keep people involved, to help them grow. Let's say you have a training event, or let's say you just have a team appreciation lunch. Asking our second shifts, so our second shift starts at 2 and our first shift starts at 6 a.m. Asking your second shift to come in at noon is a lot like asking our second shift to come in at noon is a lot like having our first shift come in at 4 a.m. So even though like it doesn't seem that odd to ask someone to come in at noon, if they're used to working in the evenings or they're used to working at night, to have them come in the middle of the day is like asking your first shifters to come in the middle of the night. You wouldn't probably do that, and it's something that we have learned the hard way. We keep inviting our second and third shifters to lunch, and they never showed up, and we kind of wondered why. And it's like, well, you know, it's kind of one of those slap your forehead moments that, yeah, we were asking them to come in the middle of the night for them. Reinforce that culture and really take the time to work with your later shifts when they are working, when they are active. So come in the middle of the night from time to time, do what you need to do to make them feel part of the team. It's probably even more important on your later shifts and your evening shifts when the management isn't there and the ownership and some leadership isn't there, to really come in and make them feel welcome and part of the team. I really hope you found this useful. These are tips that we have learned the hard way along the way of 4 years of having multiple shifts. It is really rewarding to add a second and third shift as an organization, both in terms of like the challenge of getting everybody to work together, but it also tends to lead to more profit because you're running your equipment for a longer period of time. So if you found this information helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have other ideas, things that I may have forgotten, or questions about anything that I spoke of here, please leave a comment down below. It really does help us with the YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.